What's up guys, Ivan here with getivan.com, and in this video I just wanted to do a quick review of my first impressions between Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. So I've been using After Effects for a few months or so now, or several months, and recently I decided, there's some other neat features in the Creative Suite that I might be able to justify. So I upgraded to the Creative Suite plan, and I've been kind of going through and testing certain things. That's kind of another story because all of them working together could do some really awesome things, especially with JavaScript automations through the bridge and stuff like that in theory. But so far, a lot of the tools that I've been testing out have been not giving the results that I've been hoping for. And I wanted to kind of briefly go over the differences between Premiere and After Effects in particular. When you first arrive into Premiere, they put you into this learning workspace. Pardon me. And when I saw this, I was like puzzled because my impression was like, okay, there's not anything to do. It's like some clips and project sections here and a little bit of features here. You can right click in this section, but there's not a whole lot of control. And so I was looking at the first section here and saw that, oh, okay, they just put you into a truncated workspace, excuse me. So you got to come in here and go to all panels, and that gives you the better view on what the software is supposed to look like. So that other section is probably convenient if you're maybe wanting to learn, but I also think it's ideal to just be able to come into the software and see everything at a glance so you can get an idea about how it operates. For an editing tool like this, the most important thing to me is being able to do cuts conveniently. And I did see that they have a ripple edit tool, but I didn't play around with that. So just a disclaimer, this is just my first impression. I haven't spent a lot of time in here, but between this and After Effects, so far it's looking like I don't see a way to justify this particular solution. This panel over here is really similar to After Effects. It's really convenient to be able to see all the elements in the project and to see the frame rates, because sometimes you can import things and not even realize they're different frame rates. I just imported an image I recently created, and just as a test to just kind of see what it looked like. And I was puzzled that I couldn't move things around. Pardon me. So a lot of this like video editing angle is that you're creating sequences of, like, you're importing clips and images, you're creating sequences of those things in your timeline down here. And they do give you a text tool, a rectangle tool, and some other kind of basics, which is convenient. But then over here is the main panel where they show you all the stuff and things. I do find it, like, when you look at the effects, there's not really a whole lot going on. There's some typical audio effects, which is fine. Some basic video effects. But the main thing that I found unique about this panel is the essential graphics that you can pull from, and also the essential sounds. So you can just pull in music, I guess, or maybe sound. I'm not sure if it's sound effects and music. I assume it is. So that's pretty cool. And when you take a look at the Windows section here, you can see a bunch of check boxes for other things, and you can arrange all this stuff. But I like to see when you select all panels, what it highlights for you. This section up here is pretty neat. Effect and controls and a text section, basic audio mixing capabilities, so that's convenient. But this is what Adobe After Effects looks like. I pulled up in a project that I did for Mother's Day, and there's a lot of things about this panel that are way better. Like the timeline by default, when you look at the all panels under the workspace section, it's much better, and it's much cleaner, a lot more area to see. And so I think that's kind of a superior. I mean, it's similar. Obviously, you can see, like, here's the timeline here, And then here's the project section here, which the project section is pretty similar. This one over here is smaller, but I need to see that so that I can see the frame rates and stuff. But I also like the fact that down here in the timeline, I can select the mode. So when I added this light particle effect, normally it would look like this. Or let's see here. Yeah, normally it would look like that. And then you put it to screen mode and it blends in. This colors effect normally looks like, I guess like that. I think it's there's some opacity activated. So if we were to increase that opacity, it normally looks like that right there. So the ability for me to just import video like that and to be able to do the screen and to just drop the opacity, like that's super convenient. And there's a canvas in here. So with the video editing tool like Premiere, you're sequencing clips, you know, and your clips and images, and you're doing transitions, and you're maybe doing overlays and certain basic things, and certainly cutting. That's really the big thing. But you can't come in here with the hand tool and move the image. Like if I put an image here, if I want to just pull it down, like maybe there's a way. I was looking over here at ChatGPT and I just said, hey, how do I move images around on the Premiere canvas? And it said, it printed out all these excessive instructions, go to window, effect controls, effect controls position. So let's try that real quick. So if I go to window and see here, where's effect controls, shift 5. So it's right here. And then I'd have to go, okay, let me select this clip. So now it shows up. And then I'd have to go motion, I guess. I see. So now you're seeing some of those things that are in line with Adobe After Effects down here. When you just click on the drop down, that stuff pops out there. I don't see a convenient thing for me to pop that out down here in the images section. Maybe it's here. Link section, snap timeline, add markers, timeline display settings. Okay. So maybe there's a way to modify it so that it appears properly, but still, I can't just grab it and move it. Maybe there's a different window, program image, but you kind of get the idea. Like by default, it's not as intuitive. That's not to say that, and certainly one thing, if you look at the system resources, Premiere uses resources much more efficiently. Look at After Effects right now. It's horrible. I actually upgraded my RAM on my machine just to handle After Effects. So right now it's using 40 gigs of RAM, so huge amount of system resources for not doing very much. So that's the biggest criticism I have on After Effects. So maybe if there's a convenient way to figure this part out, then it might be easier to justify Premiere. But I like the fact that I can just come into this composition in After Effects and I can literally just go, okay, I'm going to move stuff around and I'm going to move this image down and I'm going to put a little text box here and yada yada. You get the idea. Easily do screen, change the opacity on things, and you can sort of it's almost like vector editing combination into video editing, So that's a cool thing about After Effects compared to Premiere. I've been recently using, in the past I used Shotcut to do video cuts, and recently I've been using Davinci Resolve to do those ripple video cuts, which I think are essential to the process. And that would be to my impression is that'd be the only thing to really justify the use of Premiere. That, and also the fact that you can sequence huge amounts of images and video very cost effectively in system resources compared to something like After Effects. Because I looked this up a while back, and After Effects actually sequences, everything it does, it sequences images. So every frame is stored in the project, right? And it renders. That's why the RAM usage is so high, because that's the way that After Effects operates is like breaking things down frame by frame or something along those lines. So it's a lot more complicated. So you can't necessarily do big. I mean, you could, but you have to come in here and you have to drop the resolution for bigger projects. If this video is, think, 40 some odd seconds, and it's taking up a huge amount of resources. But anyways, you get the idea. Like, that's just my first impression of Premiere. Like, basically to be able to sequence clips and videos and to add sound and just kind of get the core of what you need done. Or like if I record an important video, then I would come into a video editor like Premiere to use the ripple edit to be able to make cuts, and that's my understanding of the use case for Premiere. But really, when you're trying to get creative, like, After Effects is way more convenient. You can come in here and it's much more fluid. The effects, of course, are more sophisticated. There's some really fancy things in the utilities, like the Roto Brush tool, which I don't have time to showcase, but this thing is wild. It lets you drag over an object, like you can drag over one of these babies here and select the baby out of the rest of the image and the rest of the video effects. So you can put the baby on the foreground of all the video effects, and you could have like clouds swirling in the background while the baby's in the foreground, like some really wild stuff that After Effects is capable of. Neat align utilities, and I mean, obviously that's just a basic graphic design feature, but some of this, like, I don't really get the point of brushes and paint and stuff like that. Like, I'm not trying to paint in here, like, so it would make more sense to me to add sounds and graphics and After. I mean, really, they need to be one software that does everything. So I think Adobe is being just kind of greedy by separating everything, but it would be nice if it was just one software that could cut and also have, all this other capability, that is so convenient to typical graphic design, So anyways, that's just my first impressions. What I'll probably end up doing, I'm not sure yet, because I still need to. I was disappointed with some stuff was looking at in Illustrator. I didn't test very much there, but I mean, Illustrator is just like a fancy version of Inkscape, which is what I typically use. But that was really why I was looking at some of these other things, because one of the problems is that I had all the images being embedded into Inkscape, and so it was really slowing down and getting laggy. But I recently switched to linking images, and I think that's going to improve the performance a great deal. But Inkscape is free, so I'd rather pay nothing than $25 a month for something that isn't going to do wild things for me, I was looking at InDesign also, and InDesign doesn't have great canvassing features. It's like really par to par and it's really like large books and magazines and stuff like that. That's really what it's for. They kind of advertise it to design postcards and business cards. So I kind of thought, well, maybe I could design some cards like that, but it's just way too slow compared to Inkscape, where I can just draw an object and just immediately start going in there, or import an image and just clip the image and just export that. It's just way more convenient. Anyways, I still need to test Dreamweaver and InCopy, and Adobe Dimension was interesting. This lets you import like 2D images into sort of ghetto 3D environments, but I did a test on it, but I wasn't able to make it look as fancy as they do in like the video tutorial stuff. So that is actually a really cool utility that I was unaware of, but getting it to produce quality output is like a whole other thing. I'm not super confident that I would be able to justify the retainer for that. But and then Bridge is a utility that kind of works in tandem with all the other softwares. And so one of the ideas that I had was like, if you could get all these things going for a particular process using the Bridge and JavaScript, then you could sequence this stuff with various AI to be able to create some pretty fancy graphics or whole websites, using this whole suite of tools. Dreamweaver was updated recently for the first time in a couple of years, and apparently, or a few years maybe. And so I need to crack that open and take a look at that. It looked very similar to like Bootstrap Studio. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Just some first impressions on the Creative Suite. I don't think there's anything else to comment on at the moment. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.